Hi, welcome back to this program. So we're going straight into the conversation again. I'm sure it has been an exciting time. We are already having questions coming in from left, right, and center. Okay, so now we're moving the conversation to another angle. We have the atheist and then we have the theist right here. So now we're moving to the theist. Why do you think that God exists? Now I know there are three theists on the panel today. So I just want to ask flat out, who is here with theories that there is no God, and you're here with theories that there is a God. So tell us, why do you think God exists?
Okay. So if I go by, first of all, what is in Scripture, in Romans chapter 1, verse 20, it says that the evidence of God exists in the things that He has made, right? So if you look at the universe, if you look at everything around you, it basically tells you that obviously God exists. Even from the explanation that I gave earlier about the origin of the universe, there was a time in my life, when I was asking questions also, right? And those questions led me to the truth. I don't think I know that God exists, and I have a relationship with Him, right? But if I'm talking to somebody who doesn't know, right, because I have heard Him speak, it's not a question of theory for me, it's a knowing, right? It's a knowing for me. However, I said, if you look at the fact, follow the evidence where it leads. If truly you are sincere and very objective about the data that is presented to you, right? There are 4 questions that you need to ask yourself when it comes to a desire to know the truth. And it relates to question about the origin of, where did we come from, or where did all this come from? Question about meaning, why are we here? Question about morality, and the question about destiny, where are we going, right? And if you answer those questions very well, the responses that you give has to observe the theory of coherence and correspondence. That means your responses must correspond to reality, and by the time you put all your responses together, there must be a level of coherence in your responses. And these are the things that help you understand reality and what is true about whether God exists or not. So when I look at the questions regarding origin, meaning, morality, and destiny, it points to the fact that God exists. That's why I believe in God.
I just want to chip in there. All that you have mentioned, can you just give us one word, let's say phrases of what you mean by origin, morality, and all that? Just phrases, short phrases.
So, for a start, we talked about the issue of the origin of the universe, right? And we said that the universe has a beginning. Matter, space, energy, time came into existence at the same time, right? And that means, we all know that everything that begins to exist has a cause, right? And so the cause of the universe must exist, cannot be made of the same material of the universe. So it has to be immaterial, because matter is material. So whatever caused the universe must be immaterial, it must be timeless, it must be spaceless. And for the mere fact that the universe came into existence at a particular time, the universe could have been eternal, right? But because it had a beginning, it means it has to be, whatever caused the universe has to be a personal being, because only a personal being can make a choice to create or to cause something to happen, right? So it has to be a personal being. And with all that, and then when you look at the origin of life, there is nothing that explains the origin of life other than the explanation given by the one who made life, right? There is no other explanation that fits. Remember what I said about the correspondence and coherence theory.
Yeah.
So regardless of what anybody thinks, if you give your answers to these questions and they do not and you find systemic contradiction in the responses that you are giving, you need to drop that idea. You need to drop that idea. The moment you find systemic contradiction, and when you subject every worldview to all these questions I'm talking about, it's only Christianity that stands.
Uyi, are you with us?
No. I don't think I have any questions for him.
Okay, so that's one answer to the theist point of view. I don't know if anyone has any other thing to say.
Okay, yeah.
Moyo, okay.
Now, the reality of God's existence, again, I'm speaking personally, subjectively now. The reality of God's existence, to me, is the ability to know that there exists in what? A being that puts patterns into the things I have seen. Now, when I mean pattern, I did not grow up as a Christian. I grew up as an Hinduist, irrational. And then we had full understanding. That's the mindset. We had full of understanding of a superior being that controls, superimposes on both animals, plants, and then humans. So we had that understanding of the fact that there was a pattern. Then why did I choose Christ, Jehovah, amongst all this? Now that's because only him is the one true God that can explain questions, deep questions, that the heart and soul searches for. Only him. You could make research all over and over. There will always be loopholes in every other forms of Antichrist. There will always be loopholes. So, but the knowledge of there's always a pattern. There's a pattern. You wake up in the morning and then you look around and then you tell yourself that the earth is endless. It's a pattern. You wake up in the morning and say, there exists something I do not know. It's a pattern. A pattern that it exists. Somebody somewhere would know about these things. I came from such magnitude or such magnitude of such a being. God truly exists. It truly exists. No gainsaying. It truly exists.
Okay, that's Moyo's point of view. Now we'll go to Ebele.
I'd like to start by saying that one of the things that we need to realize when it comes to the existence of God is that when our guest was starting off, he said that he realized that he'd always been an atheist. And that's because he could find no concrete evidence for the existence of God. But Uyi said something. He said it cannot all be faith. That's outside of this faith thing. He found no concrete evidence. Now, I found that interesting because of the fact that in order for us to assume, let's assume that there is the concept of God. This person who outside of the universe created the universe. Obviously, he cannot be a man. Obviously, he cannot be someone that has matter. Is immaterial. And so, I do not expect to see him, to smell him, to touch him, all right, to feel him, or to hear him with my audible ears. Because I'm not dealing with physical phenomena. So when people talk about the fact that outside of faith, they don't see a reason why, concrete evidence. I ask them a simple question. For instance, if they are married, what is the concrete evidence that you love your wife? Can you provide any scientific, you say a man can you provide any scientific evidence? So if God is a non-physical entity, my first understanding is that science that uses physical parameters is going to be limited. Now, it doesn't mean science cannot see, but I know that science cannot prove the existence of God. If something is a color, like red, yellow, green, blue, or red, I can never smell it because it's a color. It can only be appreciated by my optical senses. I cannot smell. Red has no smell. Okay? It means if I am blind, I will never be able to appreciate colors. Now, understand that outside of the visible range of colors, red, orange, and all that, there are non-visible, there's non-visible light. X-rays were discovered by a guy who just left some radioactive films, like camera like films and all that. He left it in front of something that was radioactive and discovered that the thing was glowing and all of that. That's how X-rays were discovered. They are now a modality in medicine, but you can't see it. All right? You can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't hear X-rays, but X-rays exist. Okay? So the very first thing about God that is quite striking to me is that I have seen by what is seen that something unseen exists. And that nothing that is seen can prove, but what is seen can be proven by that thing that is unseen. That's number one. You want to say something already? I know that I will motivate you to talk. Number two is I believe it's called the cosmos. There are so many arguments for the existence of God. There's the teleological argument, there's the ontological argument, there's the mathematical argument, there's the biological argument. There's the latest one is the mathematical argument. When you look at the precise way mathematics works in the universe, the value for the acceleration due to gravity, for instance, the rate at which the Earth rotates around itself, there is no other explanation. Somebody with a ruler had to have measured this thing. It could not have come from nothing, from viruses, from chemicals. There is nothing that is well designed. Look at the air conditioning that evolved from, look at these lights. They could not have evolved from lanterns. It's not possible. Look at these chairs. There's no way, if you keep a stool, akoti, and you wait for 60 billion years, it can never become this chair. There is no way an aeroplane can come out of a bicycle. Sit down, cross your legs, except you fast and pray, and you bring God into the situation. The cameras are not as great as our retina, our eyes. The telephone tried to study our ears. All right? When you look at even, Uyi was mentioning, subcellular particles. When you look at the orbitals of atoms, the of Bowles principle of Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity, all right? When you look at how orbitals feel themselves, when you look at the periodic table, how they have their atomic numbers, number of protons, number of neutrons, number of electrons, it is not possible for something that is that well ordered and designed to have just happened. There is no Big Bang. Try it. Go to your house and take different things. I'm just be banging them together. Take a chair, bang them, take two knives, bang them. Just keep banging all day. Be doing it for 365 days. At the end of the year, your house will be a mess. The only thing it can never be is a well-arranged house. For it to be well-arranged, someone has to stand up and begin to place things in particular places. The universe is so well and accurately designed. Even when it comes to the issue of DNA and all of that, and chimpanzees and all of that. When you look at the structure of DNA, the way, the uracil and the thymine and all those things, the way they are so well arranged and all that, even the DNA of a banana, it's not possible for certain chemicals, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and all of that just came together and all of that. So by the things that are seen, I may not call it God, but I know that something unseen puts those things together. There is no other explanation. Now, there's a difference between when I say that I cannot explain something, and when I say that there is no other explanation. There was a time when scientists thought it was impossible for man to get to the moon. They just felt it. They did not measure it, they did not check it, just felt, moon, look at the moon, that's not possible, and so on and so forth. All right? Man landed on the moon, well, in the 1960s, and science got to that point, What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that, it's impossible that all these things just came to be, but one day, that is what he's saying, that let's keep trying to see if we can, and so on and so forth. But what I'm saying is that with all that science has shown us now, whether it's evolution, whether it is Big Bang and all of that, not one of them have been able to explain the order and the precise nature of things in the universe as the theory that someone put it together.
Okay. I hope everyone is taking notes because even I'm learning. So before you say anything about that, we have just about 15 minutes left and we have 2 questions left. However, we might only be able to take one question. We might only be able to take one question out of these 15 questions, out of these 2 questions left. So I'll just go to one of the questions left so that we just take one of them, right? And the question is, what do you have to say about the afterlife? When a person dies and lives here, at least you believe that there's life and then there's end of life. So what do you have to say about the afterlife?
Nothing. Literally nothing.
So what do you think happens after that?
You die. Like,
Okay,
that's the end.
that's the end.
That's the end. There's nothing else.
Okay, the Atheist, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, so definitely. I mean, at the epicenter of Christianity, everything that we believe is centered around the resurrection of Christ. If Christ did not rise from the dead, then what we believe is futile. It is meaningless. There is no religion. There is no Christianity without the resurrection of Christ. And there is evidence for the resurrection of Christ. Jesus Christ died. I mean, he was crucified. He died, was buried. In fact, his tomb was sealed by the Roman guards, and he rose from the dead. And when you look at all the evidence, there's evidence that points to the resurrection of Christ from the dead, which tells us that there is something beyond death. Now, your own view shows that everything ends when we die. We just cease to exist. But somebody has proven to us that there is life after death. And that's the difference.
Very interesting. My response is, like I said, there is no evidence of any afterlife. And when we die, we die. If there is an afterlife, does it also include goats also? Like if we kill a goat here or something, will the goat go to the afterlife? So when we die, we die. I don't think, and there is no evidence whatsoever that there is an afterlife or that there's any other thing. So that's my answer.
So I'll just chip in here. It's a conversation we're having. You bring your facts, he brings his facts, everyone brings their facts. So he has mentioned that there's actually evidence, and you're saying there's no evidence.
No, he didn't mention evidence.
Okay,
now.
He would like to mention the evidence.
So he mentioned something that was said in the book.
Okay.
Is that evidence? No. Like, I don't believe that is evidence.
Okay.
A book that is actually disputed. So, if he had said, I died and I saw it, okay, maybe he can be a witness. Then, okay, sit down there, he's a witness. No. He didn't. He just said that Christ died and, okay, yeah. Where was it mentioned? In a book. Fine. That is no evidence. So I asked a question like, if there's an afterlife, is there an afterlife for goats and chickens and other animals that have died or something? No. The afterlife seems to only be for the special ones. I mean, I guess human beings, that's what we call ourselves. There is no afterlife. I am very, very certain of that. And he didn't give any evidence. Like I said, he just stated what was mentioned in the book.
I was told to calm down, so let me calm down. Because I'm about to ask you this question.
All right.
When you were talking about evolution, where did you say you got your knowledge from?
A book.
Have you seen evolution with your eyes before?
Evolution has been tested.
Have you seen it before?
It has been tested.
That's not the question.
No. It's
Have
like
you
asking me.
because-
It's like
because-
asking me if I have seen gravity.
No,
Gravity
because
has been tested.
You said that except he has died. and cannot come and testify.
Is
Have
he
you
a witness?
seen it?
Is he a
Are you
witness?
a witness of evolution?
Is he a witness?
Are you a
I'm not a
witness
witness
of
of evolution,
evolution?
but it has been tested.
Wait.
It's just like asking me if I'm a witness of gravity.
Sir, wait. Gravity is a law. Evolution is a theory. Evolution has not been proven. That's
I
a fact.
asked you previously, what is the difference between a law and a theory?
A law is a proven theory. Evolution has not been proven, so it cannot be called a law. It's called a theory.
That's not correct.
Okay.
That's not correct.
To stop
That
the
is
back
not
and
correct.
forth, let's concentrate on the evidence of the fact that
Okay.
there's a man
so-
in Christ.
So let me ask you this question again.
All right.
Have you observed evolution yourself?
I haven't observed myself.
Wait, I know you're going to say that it
No, I haven't observed
has
myself.
been proven. Good.
Yeah.
Do you have any objective fact you can point us to right now
Yeah.
that shows us that dogs came from birds, or human beings came from chimpanzees? Objective fact.
Well, I can show you.
Don't
We
mention
can show you
books,
the fossil records. now.
because evolution is disputed. So
It's
don't
not
mention
disputed.
books.
It's not disputed, and to say I think it is very, very
Sir, fact
intellectually.
number one, evolution is a theory. Fact number two, evolution is disputed.
It's not
It is
disputed.
not a
And it's-
fact.
I think that to say so, it is really, really. I don't know what to even like to say. It is disputed. Is the whole of biology stands on evolution,
No.
and I said it before. The whole of and I'll say it here.
Are you a biologist, sir?
So
Don't
the thing
let
is
us
this:
go there.
if
Don't let's go to
so-
let's go to biology.
the thing is this.
It does not
if-
stand on evolution. Evolution is a theory. It stands.
If
evolution stands on other
if
things.
evolution is false,
Nothing stands on evolution.
then I guess the whole of gene theory is also false. Also.
No.
So where does the gene theory stand on?
Genes.
Yes.
The fact that I have 50% similar genes to a banana does not. In fact, it disproves evolution.
That's not correct. It is our genes that enable us to survive. It is the genes of land that make the land to be able to run faster than the deers and get
Okay, let me
and
ask.
tear
Let,
to
let, let, me,
pieces.
let, me, let me ask you this question.
So here is the thing. I don't think that we should have this back and forth of if it's a law or not. The thing is, if you want to disprove that it is it actually a known fact that there is an afterlife? And if it is a known fact, is there evidence for it outside of the Bible?
There is.
There is.
Okay, so then state it. Because he stated that Jesus
And
Christ.
that's what I said he wanted to
No.
mention.
Why are you taking out the Bible? What is it about the Bible that has been proven to be false?
We can get to that later on.
Okay, so I don't
The
think that's the
Bible, we
question
can get
for
to that
here.
later on.
Let's
But-
concentrate on evidence of the fact that
yeah.
Jesus resurrected. That's what he wants to know. Who wants to answer it?
Outside of the Bible, is there any other evidence that Jesus resurrected outside of the Bible?
So now remember, in Scripture, 1 Corinthians 15, I think somewhere around verse 6, it talks about the fact that when Christ rose from the dead, he appeared to the 12, and then he appeared to about more than 500 people at once, as if to say, these guys are still alive. You can go and ask them, right? Now, when you check extra-biblical evidence, there's a guy named Tacitus Cornelius. He's a Roman historian. He actually talked about the crucifixion of Christ by Pontius Pilate in the book talking about Roman history. And he also mentioned the fact that some of these people, worship Christ as a god, because they claim that they had seen him after he was crucified. Now, if it was false, if Christ did not rise from the dead, I don't understand why somebody would be willing to die, willing to be crucified, willing to suffer persecution. They have nothing to gain for something that is false.
Tense persecution.
So, I think I mentioned somebody previously.
Sorry,
There is in the period of when Jesus was said to have been alive.
Yeah.
The people who wrote at that period, nobody wrote about Jesus.
Sorry?
The writings about Jesus came decades after he was supposedly crucified.
Again, that is.
So the people who were writing at that period of time, people who actually kept records at that period of time, there is no record of a particular. I know it is kind of way to the edge of that shit right now.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for you to. I don't want to
Because it's not true.
I understand, and I'm just going to just drop you here. And that's what I was saying. So the thing is this:
One step,
there
one
is
person
no,
at a time.
there is no. So during the period of when Christ was supposedly alive, the people who were were writing about this period of time, they didn't write anything about anybody that was crucified or anybody who claimed to have who had the kind of powers that Christ had. First of all, now all the books that talk about Christ, they all came in decades, even I think up to a century or 2 centuries after he had died. That is when the writings of Christ started coming up. Now, if we now say that we want to use that as evidence, okay, I guess that's fine. So we can leave it at that.
Let me comment on what you've just said. Now, the first thing you need to know is that really, I'm not going to write about someone when he's still alive. It's going to be after he is dead that I'll be writing about him. And you see, the greatest miracle that made people, those disciples, these guys were timid people, right? What gave them boldness was when Christ rose from the dead. That was when they knew for a fact that he is who he says he is. Now, when you talk about the writings of the eyewitnesses, because these are eyewitnesses, they saw, they walked with him, right? When you say the writings were centuries after he died, it is not true. Because one of the earliest fragments that has been discovered, the P54 fragment, is dated to about 90 to 115 AD. 90 to 115 AD, which is like a copy of a copy. And that means that the original copy was written way before that time. Now, when you look at, no, you don't, see, look, the evidence of what I'm saying is out there. It is out there. P54 fragment is very readily available. You can easily Google it, right? Now, I have said that P54 is even a copy of the original. It is not the original. So there is no way, if P54 is dated to 90 to 115 AD, right, there is no way whatsoever that the original is written after that. It's not possible. It's not possible. Now, when you look at the datings of the what's it called?
Gospel accounts.
The gospel accounts.
Yes.
Most of them were written before 70 AD. The only latest one, the only one that was written maybe somewhere around after 70 AD would probably be the Gospel of John.
90 to 95 AD.
Now, John, Matthew are direct disciples of Christ. They are apostles. They are one of the apostles. Luke was a companion of Paul. Mark was a scribe for Peter. So everything, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, they are eyewitness testimonies. So I don't know where you got the idea that those gospel accounts were written centuries after the death of Christ.
They were, and
that cannot be.
My phone is off.
it's good anyway.
Sorry, Mr. Albert. Now, for a fact, again, I like to establish facts. We both agree that somewhere, at a time past, there exists a man called Jesus Christ.
No, we don't agree on that.
We don't agree on that. Okay, very good. Now, which means that you are putting it forward that whatsoever thing that was written by non-Christians in government that shows that Christ existed is also false.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Thank you.
Say that again.
Now, there is the Romans. The Romans themselves.
Yeah.
In the spans of authority that has existed before, they have records, they keep dates, records. In fact, in that record, same as Nigeria, records of those who died that did not die of their own volition. They died because of government intervention. They maybe like the prisoners that died in so year that was sentenced to death. There are records. In Nigeria now, there is.
Yes, I know.
Now, I'm saying this, it's written, it is well known that same as it is for Nigeria, we have for the Romans also.
Okay.
And I'm saying again that among the records, at a time, in that record, there was a name, Jesus Christ, that was crucified. You don't agree?
That's
okay,
false.
no problem.
Very false.
Very false. Please, tranquila. Very good. Now, I'm going to show you now. There exists at a time a man called Jesus that was executed. The only comma where they started saying the Romans, they are not Christians. They are just they were doing their work. They knew that a man was sentenced to death. They knew that they crucified him. But the only thing they cannot say is they had no record of what happened to his body. That is the only thing you will see. It is well written, well stated out purely.
There is no record like what you have just described.
There is an abundance
Kaya.
of record
There
of
is
evidence
plenty.
to the resurrection of
More
Jesus.
than
Yeah.
historical records.
There is the Romans did not write. There is nothing.
And anything they wrote about Jesus Christ. So I'm telling you that.
I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
Okay. There is no record anywhere in Roman history that they executed a Jesus Christ.
Sorry, let me. This is a quote from Tacitus Cornelius. He's a Roman historian.
He can be.
No. He's not a Christian. He's not a
It
Christian.
doesn't matter if he was a Christian. I'm saying what I pointed out is this: did anybody during the period of Jesus Christ write about him? No.
I've given you evidence.
No, Tacitus Cornelius was not around.
No, I'm not
during
talking about Tacitus Cornelius.
Okay, who else?
I've given you evidence of when the Gospels were written. I've given
The
you evidence
Gospels
of
were
when the
Mark wrote
Gospels
about
written.
him. Mark wrote about
The-
him. Luke
so-
wrote about him. John
so-
wrote about him.
First of all, it is a known fact that those Gospels, it is not even. It is still disputed if the Gospel actually written by the actual disciples of Jesus Christ. And there were actually more books that came up during that period they are talking about, the period when they were gathering the books. I think there were about a dozen or so. There were different books.
Anybody can write anything.
Yeah, and the books were not actually written by disciples.
When they gathered
Basically.
those books, was that the time the books were written, or the time they were gathered?
They came. I don't know who wrote.
You're talking about-
It wasn't. It was. So the thing is this: it wasn't established that the books were written by disciples. It was never established by.
Oh,
that
it was.
It wasn't established that it was.
Let's not interject ourselves.
That's why certain of them were included in the New Testament canon.
Okay, and the other ones that were not included, what happened to them?
They were spurious.
And they were. And
They
they
did
also
not make the number.
And they also had the bearings of the disciples' names on them. Yes.
But the content showed that these guys were not eyewitness. These were not eyewitness accounts. The ones that made the count.
How would they have known that it wasn't a wicked account when they were not there?
Because they were Christians. They were Christians who were
All
alive
right,
then,
all right.
who knew
It's
what
self-evident,
happened.
right? It's self-evident.
Yes,
It's,
the
exactly.
writings were self-evident.
It's self-evident, exactly.
So that means that if you have a person who died in 1980, and you receive 94 biographies of him, and you discover that 14 of them are saying nearly the same thing. 80 of them are saying something else, different things. But 14 of them, and then you discover that this man has followers who are still alive, and you go talk to them, and they're like, "This is what we've always believed." In those 14, that's what happened at the Council of Nicaea. It's as simple as that. It shows that they chose eyewitness accounts over fabricated documents. Gospel according to Thomas, Gospel according to Peter. There was even one called Gospel according to Peter that contained all kinds of strange things.
Do you know why it's difficult? Do you know why it's difficult to accept any writing that is outside of the apostolic writings? Because when the apostles wrote those scriptures, they sent it to the different churches in the different regions. So there was a culture of always sending the writings amongst themselves. So when anything springs up that does not conform with any of those writings, they were rejected. And there was a time in history, as early as, I think, around 170 AD, from the earliest record that we can find, which is the Muratorian fragment, You can always check it up. Now, the moratorium fragment is the earliest record that contains the list of the New Testament books that conforms with what we have today, to show you that these people had an understanding of what was written by the apostles and what was not. Because there was a culture of always sending those information around the churches. So it was very difficult for somebody to just spring up from somewhere and write something and, it would just be accepted.
Okay, so we're going to take our final comments from Moyo. After that, we have some questions from the audience.
Again, okay. Now, I would like to establish this fact. It is well known. Now, you are saying, I'm pushing it now to you, that you are saying that name, or the man, not the name, a man, that man called Jesus Christ, is a supposed story, a folklore that came just for people like me to feel good. Okay, no, don't worry. Just please chill.
That is not real.
That is not real. No, it doesn't happen. Now, there is a Jewish historian, a political man in the days of Herod. I'm talking about long years before I even came into existence.
The days of who?
The days of Herod, the days of Pontius Pilate, the days of Tiberius,
was that
the emperor. Josephus.
That's Josephus.
Josephus. Now, it was just a common man. It was just a normal man. Now, he wrote. He was not talking about Judaism. He was talking about the history of Judaism. Please chill. And he wrote it in AD 93. Now, the meaning of AD 93 means that he has been in existence before AD 93. Now, please chill. Now, he wrote about Judaism in the history of AD 93. Then, we now had people, somebody like they are politicians. That means they could go into the core roots of their library to get constitutions. They know what are the end thing. Like, for example, if you mention Lagos State now, there are some names that they know each other. We know the history, deep roots of history of where we are. Those were politicians. And one of them is Tacitus. Now, one of them, Tacitus said that Jesus, there was somebody called Jesus who was executed while Pontius Pilate was the Roman prefect in charge of AD 26 to 36. It did not stay there. And then he mentioned the name of the emperor. Now, we might say, oh, of course, it's not possible. Okay, then, if we now equate that which was said by non-Christians and equate it to the history of people who have been emperor, who have been pilots at that time, and then you search for, again, I am saying it, there are records written that so and so. In fact, at that time, there were two Jesus that was stated to have undergone that. And do you know why? But let's not even go into the why, because if I go into the why, then we'll be going into Bible study. We'll know. But I'm putting it to you that there exists purely. It's even outside whether I believe in God or not. It is the fact that name, I'm trying to first debunk that mindset that
there's no evidence.
There was no evidence. That exists.
Abundance.
Well written, well stated out, well proven by historians, by writers at that time that there exists. Now the issue of how come no writers write not because they want to write. They write because they see a reason to write. Yes. I'm not, for example, now Chimamanda Adichie that is currently alive. I doubt if she has written about any man of, okay, you don't believe in man of God. I doubt if she has written anything about science that you believe in, evolution. But you don't go to her. She's a writer. The scientists you are talking about are not writers. So because writers does not write about somebody does not mean that person did not exist. That's one. Then number two, again, let's not even leave the writer. We are talking about people who know it is because of you and I that we have records that at a time when Jesus was born, census occurred. Because that we do not want. You just imagine the way God has organized it. It did not happen that it came by happenstance. It was not by chance. There was a chance of census. The census did not happen because we formed it that census must occur. So that people like you and I will know that yes, there was somebody like that came into existence at that time. Both as a baby and even when he was about to die. He did not die poof. Because if he had died poof, I might be on the same seat with you. and saying, somebody that came and go and had no history, I will never believe in such a person.
I just want to say before we move to the next question that I want you to research your facts. The first fact I want you to research is the fact of evolution being a theory and not a fact. You need to go on and check it out again. It is something that's made you to laugh a lot, but it is something that I want to just, when you go back, just read it. Just read about it again, because it is not a proven thing. It's a theory. That's why it's called the theory of evolution. You will not see things that are fast called theory. Second thing I want you to go and research is, my phone has gone off, is that there's no evidence that Jesus lived or died. That's not correct. It's not correct at all. You only get that if you are reading maybe atheist sites only, and that's what you read. If you read objectively, there is abundance of proof. Around the time of Jesus, one of the most proven facts is the fact of the resurrection of Jesus. For 12 disciples, or 11, to hold on to that in spite of that intense persecution, they were killed. All of them, none of them died naturally. They were beheaded, crucified upside down for a folk law, or for a. Not only is it improbable that that's a tale by moonlight, it is also improbable that there's no evidence. People wrote about it, wrote about them. There's an abundance of evidence. He mentioned Joseph. I forgot Josephus. He mentioned Joseph. Josephus is a Jewish historian. He was not particularly writing, biblical and all that. Go read the writings of Josephus about that time of Jewish history. You will find abundant evidence of we're not talking about resurrection now, of the fact of the person of Jesus and the social turmoil that he created by his death and resurrection. It's abundantly said and abundantly clear.
Okay.
All right.
I'm just going to stop everyone there. Thank you very much, Ibeli, Moyo, Ayo, and Ui. So it's been an exciting conversation. Of course, I understand that, we haven't reached some certain conclusions, and of course, we'll be back for these conclusions. But however, we have a question from the audience. We have two actually, but only be able to take one. As I mentioned before, you can forward your questions to questfortruth@householdofdavid.org whenever you have questions at any point in time. But we'll be taking one question. The other person from the audience that has a question can forward the question to questfortruth@householdofdavid.org. Now the question here goes to Mr. Uyi. So he says, Mr. Uyi, if evolution is progressive, why have human beings not evolved? Or why have we not seen the evidence of ongoing evolution of humans? Please, can you take that question in the next 5 minutes so that we can wrap up for today?
As human beings, we are evolving. And then there's abundance of evidence. I don't know why people keep saying that there's no evidence for evolution, it's a theory, blah, 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 blah. It is so weird when I hear that. But what I would say is this. I don't think, because I don't know what the future is, so I don't know if this is the final stage of human evolution. Well, I don't think that it's going to be this is the final stage. Obviously, in this millennia to come, things will probably happen and change for human beings. Then I would encourage people to I don't know, I guess read up more, I guess what I would just say. But there is abundance of evidence of evolution, and if there was actually any kind of weakness or any kind of if it was false in any way, it wouldn't be in textbooks, I mean, somebody was saying right now that there is some kind of hidden power somewhere that is trying to prevent people from seeing the truth that is creationism. Creationism can never have brought about the life that we have on this planet. It's not remotely close to it, no way. And the evidence as we have it right now, is that the life that we have on the planet came about by evolution. And as for proof, I will say this and I will say it again. Evolution has been carried out in laboratories across the world continuously. This is not something that people are guessing. People continuously do this. Even the drugs that people make, they are done through process of evolution. And even you look at the composition of human beings, there are bacteria in our body that we know that those bacteria came in there. They didn't come in there through like some magical means. Those bacteria came in there through in the process of evolution. And so evolution is as real as
I'm sorry.
It's as real as
I'm sorry.
as any other thing
Possibly,
on this
correct.
planet.
It would evolve. Evolution is also judgment.
Evolution is evolving. He's a pharmacist. You talked about drugs being made by evolution. I'm a doctor. You're talking about bacteria coming into our body by evolution.
Yeah.
None of those things are true.
None of those things are true.
They are completely and utterly false.
So do you
Can I?
so the bacteria that are in our body, how did they come about?
The bacteria
Yeah.
that are in our body
Yeah.
exist in this world. From the moment you are born, they start colonizing the human body. This is why we encourage mothers to give, their children breast milk, because those breast milk contain antibodies. Because the moment a child is born,
I'm not talking about bacteria that are parasites to the body. There are bacteria that actually help human beings. You don't know that. There are bacteria that actually help us digest our food. And you say that.
Stop there. Stop there. Right. I am telling you that every bacteria that can help the body can harm the body. That's what happens in HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS, becomes HIV/AIDS because the body's ability to defend itself is broken down. So the normal bacteria in the body now cause diseases. I'm telling you that the reason why we have an immunity is because from the moment we are born, we're exposed to bacteria. All of them are capable of causing diseases. The reason why they do not is because our body has the ability to tame them. So they don't enter our body by...
It's not what you... So there is a particular...
they're called normal flora.
There's a particular bacteria. I do not remember the name right now, but it exists in the cell of human beings. And it is born with us. Everybody has it, the cell of human beings. And it helps in the processes in the cell. And we know that this bacteria wasn't...
Are you speaking as a biologist? Because what you're saying does not exist.
It doesn't exist.
It does not.
When we go on break, I will search for this, and I will show it to you.
You were born with bacteria inside your cells.
I will show it to you.
All right. So let me tell you the fact. Every bacteria in your body came into your body by colonization. They came from the environment into the body.
I'm not
Even
talking
the
about,
ones that defend your body.
I'm not talking about those type of bacteria. Now, there is a particular organism, that it houses in the human cell. It stays in the human cell.
All
and
right.
it helps to process food in the human cell.
Okay.
And you now say that how did this come into our body? And
The human cell is made up of a nucleus, a nucleolus, vacuoles, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria. It doesn't contain... Mitochondria is not a bacteria.
It's not a bacteria.
It's not a bacteria.
Hold on.
Okay.
The thing is this. Hold on. So
forget about that bacteria.
Let me explain something to you. So first of all, the mitochondria that you just spoke about right now, we know that the mitochondria it has a trail, obviously. Like I said, everything has a trail. And we know that the ancestors, its earliest ancestors, was actually...
Mitochondria is not a living thing.
Okay, let's leave it at that.
Let me leave you. I'll leave you with this parting shot, right? I'll leave you with this parting shot because you've been going on and on about the fact that we evolved, right? Now, all the intermediate forms, the supposed intermediate forms of man, right? I'm sure most of us have seen those diagrams you see in the books, in the textbooks, where it starts with one small ape and then gradually before you have the Homo sapien. Most of them have been proven to be false. They are either fully ape or fully man. Lucy is a 3-foot ape. Everybody has come to accept this. Nebraska man was actually built from the tooth of an extinct pig. Yes, The evidence is out there. If you talk about the Heidelberg man was actually built from a jawbone, and it's actually man, fully man. It's either most of them are fully ape or fully man. In fact, the Neanderthal man was just recently discovered to be an elderly man who suffered from arthritis. Yes, the evidence is out there.
Goodness.
These are facts.
Are you serious?
The piled-down man. Do you want me to go on? Do you want me to go on?
There's fossil of
Neanderthal
all
man,
across, and you said
Neanderthal man
is
is
an old
fully
man.
Is fully man,
That
not
is
ape.
Somebody that is a being that is over 8 feet.
He's telling
8
you.
I'm saying this on camera.
They are very, very big. They are bigger than human beings, and he's an old man. Their fossils are bigger than the normal human fossil. The Neanderthal man is an old man.
I'm saying this on camera, right? I'm saying this on camera. Neanderthal man is fully man. When you look at the piled-down man was also built from the jawbone of an ape.
Wow.
It is fully ape. So most of those intermediate forms are either fully ape or fully man. There is no such thing as intermediate.
You need to read more.
This is weird, honestly.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. On a very final note, before we call it a day, I'm sure
I'd like to
it's
say one more thing before we close. Sorry, just
a
one
Bailey.
more
1 minute.
One more thing, yes, just
Okay.
one more thing. And that's, I want you to consider the fact that it has never been proven, never, ever, think about it, of the existence of life outside of this planet, nowhere else. There's a spaceship or something like that that has been said to get to the end of our galaxy. It has been traveling for several years, or the end of something. I don't know what it is. Never. We are on Earth. We're part of the solar system with all those planets. Pluto is no longer one of them. Our galaxy is called the Milky Way. There are other galaxies, other stars. Life has never been found in any form on Mars, Venus, whether by camera, landing on the moon, nothing. Life is only found on Earth here. My brother, what are the odds of that?
So the thing is we haven't even
my final note.
explored half of the galaxy.
But in the one we've explored, thousands of planets, no life. Not one.
All right.
Thank you.
What are the odds of that?
Okay.
There's a God.
Obviously, there has to be a
God.
continuing session to this. So many things are not completed. I know that the viewers have a lot of questions, and all your questions are welcome. As I said previously, please send your questions to Quest for Truth at householdofdavid.org. You can also leave your questions in the comment section. I'm just going to give every single person 1 minute each. And I mean 1 minute each to just give a final word to the viewers from the deist point of view and from the atheist point of view. So everyone is going to be saying something. Just a final note concerning the whole conversation of if there is a God or if there is no God. What do you have to say to the viewers in 1 minute? I'll start from Ebele.
Wow. Thank you. So I would just like to say to everyone that if you really think about it, we can argue back and forth between the fact of trying to prove that there is a God or there is no God. But in your own heart and in your own mind, when you are alone by yourself, maybe before bedtime or just when you wake up, think about it. Think about the fact of where we came from. Think about the fact of what the meaning of life is. Like my friend here said, he said, after life, that's it, nothing. Think about the fact that all these people walking upon the face of the earth, what is the reason for their existence? What is the origin of good? What is the origin of bad? Where do we all go from here? Why am I living? I can assure you that you will keep searching for the answer and keep searching like thousands of people have done until the day you look up and say, "Dear God, I am ready. I acknowledge that you exist and that you made me." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ebele. Oui.
Okay. I think we've said a lot today, and what I would say is A question that I think everybody needs to ask themselves is, who is God's God? I think that is where we can start from, you know. Who is God's God? Because, like he said, or somebody else said here, something started everything. Okay, then who started God? Does God have a God? And in his own space, was he the one who created the space himself? Is that possible? Or did he just appear out of nothing? If you ask yourself these kind of questions and you are sincere with yourself, you would see that it leads you to nowhere, because it's the religion and the whole God thing is made by man, basically. Life is older than God, is what I would say. Yeah, it is definitely older than God. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Uyi. Moyo.
Yeah, I would like to say that the concept of life in itself is endless if you look at it, which means that there would exist the one being who does not answer to another being. It's called the law of first cause and effect. That for every cause there is an effect, but there is a cause greater than the first cause that has no effect. And then scientist Aristotle believed that that first cause is an eternal being. Any questions that presupposes or rises as a result of man's intuition to search for truth shows that is limited, and there exists a being that can truly answer that question, irrespective of the material knowledge we seek about.
Thank you very much, Moyo. Ayo.
Okay, so I'm going to end with this note. Earlier on, we've said that whatever made the universe has to be timeless, meaning that the cause of the universe is eternal. And so when we ask the question, what made God, we are presupposing that God has a beginning, because you cannot have an endless series of past causes, right? You cannot have, oh, who made God? Okay, there's a bigger God. So who made the bigger God? A bigger God. Who made the bigger God? A bigger God. It doesn't make sense. Time came into existence by somebody who is timeless. So God is eternal. So that question does not hold, right? And I want us to understand that every action that we take in time has eternal consequences. Every action that we take in time has eternal consequences. I'll leave us with that for now.
Wow. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been an exciting conversation. I'm certain that we would have another of this conversation very soon. This remains an open conversation with an atheist. I hope you had an amazing time, and I hope you learned a lot. See you next time. Yes, please, let's appreciate Uyi. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.